l'industrie du luxe par ceux qui la façonnent.
Je m'appelle Loudana et bienvenue dans le Podcast du Luxe. Je suis docteure et cofondatrice de la fintech Grace qui permet aux marques de luxe de protéger leurs biens exceptionnels afin que leurs clients les portent en toute sérénité partout dans le monde. Je vous donne rendez-vous chaque mercredi afin de vous partager en exclusivité des conversations inédites et sans filtre avec les leaders de cette industrie.
Hello everyone and welcome to le Podcast du Luxe. Today I have the pleasure to host Iris van de Veken, who is the CEO of Watch and Jewellery Initiative 2030. We learn what is the sustainability for the luxury brand for watch and jewels, what are the key milestones for all of these brands for 2030. We learn as well what is the diamond market thanks to the expertise of Iris, and what through her career, an exceptional episode with a so brilliant woman that I hope will inspire you as it did for me. And I wish you a beautiful episode on le Podcast du Luxe. Hi Iris!
Hello Lou.
Thank you so much for having me today in a Kering HQ. First of all, can you share with us what the symbol to be here today for you?
Well, this beautiful location, Kering headquarters in Lanac, is of course very, I would say, sentimental to me because this is where the Watch and Jewellery Initiative 2030 was born, a coalition between Kering and Cartier. If those two CEOs would have not stepped up, I would not be here today. So, it's sentimental.
Could you please present yourself?
So my name is Iris. I'm the executive director of the Watch and Jewellery Initiative 2030. I'm Belgian. I come from a very small town in Flanders, and I am currently living in Geneva. So I studied law and also international relations. I never wanted to practice law, but I was very passionate about public affairs. It's also something where I did my thesis on. I did my internship at the International Monetary Fund in Washington, D.C. At that moment, it was a quite new topic. I made my thesis on the IMF in search of the support of the public opinion. And everyone thought, what is she trying to do? And what kind of job is this public affairs? But at that time, it already interested me very much the importance of business engaging with policymakers and trying to understand the world from different perspectives. Rosy Blue still today is one of the key leading diamond manufacturers in the world. And they have offices and entities across the world. And when I was part of their team, I was actually working all over the world, from India to Thailand to Africa to China, implementing actually different standards. So this could be an SA1000 on labor. This could be an ISO 14001 on environment. Yes, I also moved to the Middle East where I did some work on the OECD implementation on gold. And then I think another important milestone was, of course, when I moved to London to be the executive director of the Responsible Jewellery Council, which was, of course, an amazing momentum because I had been there in 2005 when it was founded. Who would have thought, Lou, that so many years later you would have the opportunity to lead it?
Yeah.
Which was an interesting experience because you work with so many players across the industry, really trying to work hard that the standard stays relevant, to focus on governance and seeing that the standard is well implemented across the value chain.
So can you maybe tell us how the JIA is so important and other maybe actors as well?
So institutions like JIA are very important because they protect the integrity of the product. They will give you product information. And I think when you're a consumer and you buy a stone, is it a colored gemstone or is it a diamond? You want to understand exactly what you're buying. And I think it's an important assurance mechanism. I also applaud those institutions because they are investing a lot in innovation. Because when new products arrive, or it's super important to also see elements concerning traceability, where stones are coming from. So important players in the industry. Two CEOs actually stepped up and agreed to start a new coalition, the Watch and Jewellery Initiative 2030. As an action platform to really help advance the industry on three key pillars that are interconnected: climate resilience, biodiversity and nature and inclusiveness. And I think, Lou, that's on its own unique when two competitors actually, do collaborate because they want to advance the industry on sustainability.
Can you tell us more what is exactly this initiative for 2030?
So first of all, 2030, I think everyone knows the 2030 agenda, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, Lou, because in 2015, it was the first time that actually 193 countries agreed on a common agenda of the world. 17 SDGs 2030. But the reality is we are very much behind. 85% of the goals are not on track. And that's why policymakers have to step up. Governments, of course, have to take their responsibility, but businesses can be a huge force for good. And I think it's in that philosophy that Kering and Cartier came together to say, okay, let's lead the way humbly. This is not about shouting out. This is about really creating a platform to action, to learn, to share, but most important, to accelerate, because we are behind. And that means leadership needs to step up. From the start, we said, okay, we have the co-chairs, Kering and Cartier, but inside the board, we also need to have a reflection of the value chain. And so we have Chanel with Mr. Frédéric Granger, but we also have a suppliers community in Italy with Licia Mattioli. We have a manufacturer of diamonds like Rosy Blue, but we have also independent directors like Georg Kell, the co-founder of the Global Compact, Anino Imua, founder of 100 Women of Davos, Jane Wang, CEO of Social Accountability International, Alexander Lassik, the CEO of Pandora, and probably now and then of course, very important, two important industry associations, SIBJO and BGOP, so France and Italy. And we believe it is important not only to be inclusive, but also that whatever we're going to build, we're going to give back to the industry. So within those three pillars, whatever tools that we're building, whatever knowledge and expertise that we're testing, we want to share it across industries and we want to share it within the industry.
And do you have an example, for example, of an initiative made by Kering or Cartier or Pomellato, I don't know which brand, that you can share?
So, for example, I will start with the work we're doing with UN Women. We have a collaboration with UN Women, which is Activate Accelerate. And we did a pilot last year that involved Gucci, Pomellato, Cartier, many different brands on gender responsive procurement. When companies are really taking gender as a strategic imperative, from top down, bottom up, that it does change the culture of an organization. We know from all reports, Deloitte, Boston Consulting, Bain Company, Harvard, you name it, inclusive leadership leads to better results. One example is really what I would say humbly proud of is the Nature Roadmap, because the Nature Roadmap is the first time actually that we have an industry approach to nature, but it's at starting phase. Let's be clear, for the roadmap, open to the wider industry. When we launched it with Marie-Claire Daveux a few months ago, Chief Sustainability Officer and Public Affairs of Kering, we then went to an open consultation of a couple of months, with SBTN, with WWF, with the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, because we wanted to hear their views and perspectives. And one feedback that came out of it was, okay, the Nature Roadmap still needs more concrete examples and cases from the industry. You need to connect it more to the element of water. So now we're working on it, adjusting it. It will be a living document, but it's open to the industry. And what we hope is if others have expertise that they can also share, we can build on it, because we can only help advance the wider industry. And we also humbly want to learn from others. Mm-hmm. So if there's good, new innovations out there, we're happy to work with you. I think the biggest challenge today is capacity building. And what I mean by that is there's a goodwill, there's a commitment, there's a willingness to implement, but we need to see that people have enough tools and education to be able to implement well.
And what do you think about, for example, the digital passport?
So, for example, one initiative that I follow is Aura Consortium. Because again, I believe in the positive power of collaboration. When you see different brands, investing together and trying to understand much more about what is possible. So I think circularity is probably the biggest opportunity for our industry. First of all, I think we're very lucky that we are working in a watch and jewelry industry. So, because you will never throw away a piece of jewelry, right, Lou? You will never just take a watch away. It's something that you're going to collect or you're going to give to the next generation. So that on its own, I think we're very lucky that we are working in that kind of industry. But if you look at circularity, in my view, there are three important phases. I think first, the biggest opportunity with younger designers is in the design phase. How can we refuse to use materials with high carbon footprint in the production process? So refuse. How can we rethink the process to minimize carbon emissions and to look at really different models of consumption, energy consumption, water, waste, etc. And also, how can we reduce during the production process? And I don't think we should underestimate the alpha generation. No, this is the generation that's going to be, a big category for the luxury. For the luxury industry, and that is a generation that has been raised in these special times, I would say.
You're right.
So it'll be interesting to see how they will repurpose.
Could you, Iris, maybe share with us what sort of trend there is today for sustainability?
Yes, I'd be happy to. So I was born in 1970, and that was the time when Milton Friedman talked about the purpose of a company is to make profits. Now we're 2024, and the purpose of a company is to be meaningful and purposeful and being a force for good. And I've seen sustainability evolve over 24 years. And if I look at some big trends I think first of all, and this is a very good thing, sustainability is not anymore an add-on. It is a CEO strategic imperative. So you cannot have a business strategy and a sustainability strategy. It has to be one strategy. In the past, we saw that often, you had the companies and then you had the suppliers. And those were like two different families. No. Today, the suppliers are your extended families. And you better get along with them well. It's really important to see those suppliers as your family. And they're going to, help you, again, to build a responsible value chain. It means you need to invest in suppliers' capacity. You need to help them accelerate. You need to help them understand the regulations. A third trend is innovation. Technology, artificial intelligence, blockchain, everything we see around is going to be an important tool, and I repeat, tool, to help and advance sustainability. Because I think another trend is what we'll see is that the war for talent. We work in an industry of craftsmanship. I think when I look at how watches are made, actually I get very emotional about it, because for me it's art. And that brings me probably to the last one, is we can't do that alone. We cannot do that alone. So it means we need to sit at the table with competitors, within an antitrust space, of course, but with competitors, with policymakers, with civil society, and just be humble. All of us have to be humble if we want to take care of this mother planet together and work together to advance some of these solutions.
Thank you so much, Iris.
Thank you for your time, Lou. It's been really great. Thank you.
We learned a lot. It's so nice. Thank you so much.
Merci infiniment pour votre écoute. J'espère du fond du cœur que vous avez apprécié cet épisode. N'hésitez pas à vous abonner au podcast, à le partager autour de vous, à laisser vos commentaires afin que nous puissions échanger tous ensemble. Ça nous motive et c'est ce qui fera aussi rayonner le podcast. N'hésitez pas également à vous abonner à mon Instagram, à LinkedIn. Ce sera un plaisir de discuter de luxe avec vous. Et je vous dis rendez-vous à la semaine prochaine pour un épisode aussi exceptionnel que celui-ci.